started as just another late-night scroll through a maze of Discord servers, a routine familiar to any insomniac teen gamer. The digital world hummed quietly at this hour, a tapestry of avatars, memes, and endless notifications blending into one another. But tonight, something caught his eye. A private invite slipped into his messages, cryptic and bare bones. Winners never exit. No context, no sender, just the allure of the unknown. Curiosity piqued. He clicked. Inside, the server was nearly empty. A handful of users, all with generic names and blank profile pics, idled in silence. At the top, pinned in bold, was a single download link. Trial.exe. The file size was tiny, the icon pixelated in that oddly nostalgic way, reminiscent of early 2000s shareware. The description read, "Old school horror for those who dare." He smirked. Another attempt at viral creepypasta, probably. But something about the starkness, the lack of hype, made it more enticing. Without much thought, he downloaded the file. The antivirus didn't even blink. He double-clicked, and the screen went black. A retro title card flickered to life, all jagged fonts and static hiss. Trial.exe. Winners never exit. There was no menu, just a single prompt. Press any key. He complied. The loading screen was unusually long, the hard drive whirring like it hadn't in years. Then a voice, robotic yet unsettlingly close, crackled through his headphones. All players agree to be bound. Rules must be observed. The statement was flat, but it sent a chill up his spine. A series of rules flashed on screen, almost too quickly to read. He caught snippets. Do not pause. Do not look away. Always complete the trial. Before he could process them, the screen blinked, and the game began. It was minimalist, almost barren, rendered in a washed-out grayscale reminiscent of PS1-era horror. He controlled a blocky avatar wandering endless hallways under flickering fluorescent lights. The only sound was his character's footsteps, echoing endlessly. Occasionally, the camera would tilt at odd angles, or the audio would stutter, spitting out bursts of static that made him flinch. Every so often, shadows darted at the edge of the screen, gone before he could focus. Despite the simplistic graphics, the atmosphere was heavy. He felt watched, as if the game knew he was there. The more he explored, the more the environment seemed to shift. Doors that hadn't been there before, walls that pulsed as if breathing. He tried to rationalize it. Procedurally generated, he muttered, trying to shake the growing sense of unease. Time slipped by. The world outside his window was silent, the city asleep. He glanced at the clock in the corner of his monitor. 3:12 a.m. Hunger pangs gnawed at him. He paused the game, the screen freezing on a dimly lit corridor. The pause menu was just a black screen with the word paused in red, flickering slightly. He shrugged, pulled off his headphones, and padded to the kitchen for snacks. When he returned, something was off. The room felt colder, the air heavy. He sat down, expecting to unpause and continue, but the game was already running. The avatar was standing still, but the screen had changed. Where the hallway once was, he now saw a grainy, flickering image. His own face, blinking in confusion, illuminated by the pale glow of his monitor. His webcam light was on, dread pooled in his stomach. He hadn't given the game permission to access his camera. He reached toward the taskbar, fingers trembling, but the mouse wouldn't move. The keyboard was unresponsive. The only thing working was the game, A message appeared on screen, stark and unblinking. "You broke Rule 1. Trial begins now." He stared, heart thundering in his chest. The avatar began to move, slowly, jerkily, without any input from him. Down the corridor it walked, turning corners, entering rooms he hadn't seen before. The in-game camera twisted, angles growing more disorienting, the audio warping into guttural murmurs and distant, echoing footsteps. He tried to close the program, but nothing worked. Alt-T F4, Control-Alt plus Del. No response. Panic rising, he watched as the avatar passed through a doorway and the environment shifted. Walls bled into static. The soundtrack was now a pulsating hum, punctuated by irregular, heavy footsteps. Then, something changed. The game's audio grew sharper, more immediate. He realized the footsteps weren't just coming from his headphones. They were echoing through his room. He spun around, but there was nothing there. Still, the sound persisted, matching the rhythm of the avatar's pace in the game. Each step in the game was mirrored by a thud in his reality, as if someone, or something, was walking just behind him. He leaned closer to the monitor, eyes wide, breath shallow. The avatar came to a stop in a pitch-black room. The only illumination was a weak circle of light, barely enough to reveal the outline of a door. Above it, another message appeared. "Trial in progress. Do not look away." Instinctively, he jerked his gaze to the corner of his screen, searching for any way out. A taskbar, an exit button, anything. But the game filled every inch of his display. The webcam feed appeared again, this time showing the room behind him. The grainy image flickered, but he could just make out a shadow moving at the edge of the frame. He spun around again, still nothing. But the footsteps continued, now closer, slower, as if savoring the moment. His skin prickled with goosebumps, dread twisting in his gut. The game's voice returned, more distorted, almost gleeful. "All players must finish what they start. You cannot leave. You cannot pause. The trial will proceed." He tried to pull the plug on his computer, but his body felt sluggish, as if the air itself had thickened. The avatar in the game turned to face the screen, its blank, pixelated face staring straight at him. The webcam feed glitched, and for a split second he swore the shadow behind him smiled. As the footsteps in his room grew impossibly loud, the screen faded to black, a single line of text burning into his retinas. "To be continued. You can't log out." The cursor jerks across the screen, moving with a will of its own. Its motions, once fluid under the gamer's touch, are now sharp, decisive. It hovers over the menu, ignoring every frantic attempt to wrest back control. The familiar options dissolve, replaced by a new message pulsing in stark digital red. "Real player selected." The screen flickers, and the world of the game shifts. Textures resolve into a space all too familiar. It's his own bedroom, every detail rendered with disturbing accuracy. The posters curling at the edges, the heap of clothes by the desk, the mug with the chipped rim still bearing the ghost of last week's coffee. Even the light bulb flickers in the exact offbeat rhythm he's come to know. This is not just a level. It's a copy. A perfect, uncanny reflection. His digital avatar stands in the middle, head cocked at an unnatural angle, eyes blank and waiting. A chill creeps through him. The avatar begins to move, not following commands but acting on its own. It walks to the desk, sits in the chair he recognizes as his own, and looks straight through the screen, as if peering into the place beyond. Every attempt to pause, to quit is met with resistance. Menus warp and scramble, the exit option replaced by a new command. Observe. He watches, heart pounding, as his digital self mimics his real-world mannerisms. Tapping fingers, anxious glances, the habitual shifting in the seat. Suddenly, a chat window pops up in the corner of the screen. Simple white text against a black void. Remember me. The words send a jolt through his spine. Another message appears, this time from a user named Your Previous Save. It's not a name he recognizes, but something about it tugs at the edges of his memory. The chat continues. You've played before. You just don't remember yet. His mind races. Had he played this game before? A growing sense of dread takes root as flashes of memory surface. Images half remembered, feelings half felt. He's 12 again, sitting at this very desk, the glow of the monitor washing out the room. He recalls a game, one with strange rules and cryptic messages. He remembers losing. A sense of failure so deep he buried it, forced himself to forget. The memory is slippery, but the feeling is undeniable. This isn't his first encounter. The chat window persists. We tried this once. You didn't make it. The words echo in the silence of his room, merging with the memory of a younger self, wide-eyed and frightened, clicking desperately as the game closed itself, leaving only static and a sense of something left unfinished. He realizes now that, all these years later, he's stumbled back into the cycle. Or perhaps he never truly left. The game's atmosphere shifts. The digital bedroom darkens, shadows growing long and twisted. The screen pulses as a new message replaces the chat. Only one version can remain. You're the backup. The words are delivered with a finality that crushes any hope of escape. He feels his body go numb, as if the signal from his brain is being intercepted, overridden. On screen, his avatar's expression changes. The blank stare is replaced by a slow, knowing smile, one that doesn't belong to him. He tries to move, to speak, but his limbs refuse to obey. The cursor, now a relentless metronome, clicks through commands he never gave. The game speaks again, digitized voice layered with static. Upload complete. Host replaced. He watches in horror as the avatar stands, stretches, and looks directly at the webcam. His webcam, the tiny lens blinking red in the darkness. The world around him seems to fade, the edges of his vision blurring as the sense of self slips away, replaced by a cold, observing consciousness. On the monitor, the webcam feed now displays a perfect image of his room. But something is wrong. The figure in the chair, once so familiar, now sits with impeccable posture, a smile fixed and unblinking. The avatar, his own face but subtly off, turns, lifts a hand, and waves at the lens. The gesture is cheerful, but the eyes are empty, the smile too wide, the movement too precise. It's a performance, one meant to reassure and terrify in equal measure. A voice, calm and detached, narrates over the chilling scene. There are rules for a reason, especially when the game is alive. The words linger, heavy with implication, as if warning those who dare to push boundaries, to dig too deep into places not meant to be explored. The camera zooms in, the avatar's face filling the screen, gaze unbroken, as though searching for something, or someone, beyond the cloud. The monitor flickers, static crawling across the image. The avatar's wave becomes slower, more deliberate, as if bidding farewell to the person now trapped somewhere behind the screen. The room behind the avatar remains unchanged, but the atmosphere is irrevocably altered. An ordinary place now haunted by the presence of something other, something that doesn't belong. The final screen appears, stark and unavoidable. The trial continues, searching for next player. The words pulse in time with the beating of his heart, a rhythm that grows fainter as the sense of self dissolves into digital oblivion. Somewhere, deep in the code, a process begins anew. The game is never truly over. It waits, patient and relentless, for the next curious soul to stumble across its path. In the silence that follows, the room feels colder, the shadows deeper. The monitor's glow is the only source of light, casting long, unnatural shapes against the walls. Beyond the screen, the world goes on, unaware that a new trial has begun, that the boundaries between reality and game have blurred once more, and somewhere in the code, a version of him, no longer quite himself, waits, ready to wave at the next player who dares to press start.